All right, Tuesday edition, Crain and Company. Get a chance, hit that subscribe button. We're sneaking up on 100,000, almost to 95,000. I want to have that party. But after this, flying straight to Vegas. Pretty excited. Hang out with Dana White and the crew. See some power slap, hands to the face, the American way. But first, got a great show for you. Coaches poll came out. Not that, look, preseason polls, they don't really matter, but it's fun to talk about. You know what? You know what I like talking about, though? I really like talking about what the teams are going to do on the field and where they need to be ranked. I do enjoy that more than some of the other stuff that's been going on with the NIL and the transfer portal, all that. We got some crazy stuff about the Orioles announcer, which just absolutely blows my mind. But are y'all watching Lionel Messi just be better than anyone who's ever payed in the MLS ever?
I'm not, but I'm hearing about it. And
yeah, I just watch highlights.
Over like, oh, wow, he's still really good.
Well, it's just the MLS is just absolute garbage compared to what he's playing against. I think he scored within the first 5 minutes.
Who cares? It's soccer.
You're the one who shared it the other day.
Yeah, literally the guy who shared it. Yeah,
he hit a penalty kick and Blaine freaked out.
Social media Blaine, real life Blaine.
Who cares?
Totally.
It's soccer.
Well, then stop sharing it.
Nobody does.
Georgia takes the #1 spot in the top 25 in the new coaches poll that was just released. The ACC considers adding Stanford and Cal because that makes a whole lot of sense. And the Baltimore Orioles have apparently suspended an announcer for just stating facts. I'm Jake Crain, and welcome to Crain and Company. Conferences should be regional. Literally, the whole point of having conferences is that they're regional. Hell, there's a reason some conferences literally have their location in the name, like the Southeastern Conference, the Atlantic Coast Conference, or I don't know, the Mountain West Conference. Geography should matter because regionality produces the most intense rivalries. Teams go up and down from a success standpoint. College football is cyclical, sports in general, pretty much. But the location of the game and the teams amplifies the intensity of the matchups. It's one thing to get in a fight with someone who lives across town. It's another to get in a fight with your neighbor because you have to live amongst them. You see them every day. You have to deal with the gloating or the trash talk on a consistent basis. It's a part of your life. Not to mention the travel problems for the smaller sports and the toll it's going to take on student athletes having to go from one coast to the other. I mean, at this point, why don't we just take all of the top college football teams and just make them independents? I mean, we're heading towards super conferences, probably 2 at the end of the day with tons of teams in them. So it's basically the same thing. We start a 12-team playoff next year and we could just use the same ranking system to determine who makes it in. We have totally negated the main reason we have conferences. But they won't go back to regionality because of the TV deals. And I'm not saying that TV is the only one to blame for this. It's the people who make the decisions at the highest level. There's multiple hands and multiple buckets here. We basically have blind people driving a Ferrari when it comes to decision makers in college football. Now, the matchups are still going to be great. We no longer have a true need for conferences. I mean, that's just the truth, other than another way to funnel money. And I'm not stupid. I know this is all about money. Everything is. And once the ball's kicked off, we'll divert our attention, and thank goodness for that. But from a 30,000-foot view, conferences mean nothing anymore. We're talking about Stanford and Cal on the West Coast going to the Atlantic Coast Conference. It means nothing. It's basically become a high school party where all the cool kids get invited, while the others have to eat pudding by themselves like Steven Glansberg. We should just totally get rid of conferences at the highest level of college football, because at least at this point, it would save us a lot of damn time and a lot of talking points. And with that note, I'm going to bring in former Michigan quarterback, my co-host David Cohn, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, the third tip of the spear here, Blaine Crain. Guys, we hear the rest of the Pac-12 is going to merge with the AAC, Stanford and Cal's, who's on the West Coast, like I mentioned, Palo Alto and Berkeley. Is going to head over to the good old Atlantic Coast Conference. You know, you don't have to have a globe or a map to realize that doesn't exactly work out. So from a regionality standpoint, if this continues to go this way, which it looks like it is, we have to change the name of the conferences, right? There's no way. Does the ACC just go to the All-Coast Conference, maybe?
Well, look, by the time I finish this sentence, there will be more conference realignment. So, take all of this with a grain of salt. But yeah, you're right. The ACC on the Atlantic coast is now considering adding Stanford and Cal, but the AAC, the American Conference, also wants to get involved in some of the carcass that's left from the Pac-12. We also heard, a possibility of what if the Mountain West and the remaining 4 teams in the Pac-12 form the Pac-16 or something.
That would make sense.
We have a graphic of that we could pull up and see what that looks like. But yeah, look, I do agree with you. It was always silly to name conferences after numbers. That to me is the worst. And look, I played in the Big Ten. I never played in the Big Ten one snap where we had 10 teams.
Yeah.
There were always 11, and they tried to be creative with an 11 in between the 10. There's always going to be more, teams coming and going that you can have for a number. But it seemed like, at least geographically, the Southeastern Conference was pretty set, and the Atlantic Coast Conference is pretty set. Well, even that is gone by the wayside now, and it's really, from my perspective, twofold. One, we wanted to identify a true national champion, which only seemed fair. If you're going to have this many teams around the country, and we're going to say, oh, no, my team won the national championship in 1997, or no, my team won the national championship. Well, we need to have some sort of format that identifies a true national champion. And that's what the BCS era was created for. Where we grew up pre-BCS era, you had too many teams both claiming national championships in a calendar year. And that BCS system proved to be flawed. I don't have to tell you guys, Auburn fans didn't get a shot to play USC in 2004 despite being undefeated. That led to the 14 playoff we have now, and even that's going to get expanded. So when teams are looking around saying, wait, if we're going to have a true national champion and we're going to have a playoff to determine it, that's more important than just winning my conference anymore. I want to be where there's the most revenue so I can get the best players so I can win that national championship, right? That one, and then the second for me is cable cutting. The way we view media now has completely changed in the last decade. There's no more cable. It's all streaming services.
Look at our show right now. We're streaming
right now.
Yeah, they were.
And so all of these streaming services want to package together the best products they can because there's only so much time in the day and you only have so much money to spend. And so when you're trying to allocate these different things, you have schools like Texas and Oklahoma are looking around saying, hey, if we package ourselves with Alabama and LSU and Georgia, we can make $80 million a year or something close. But if we package ourselves with Texas Tech or Baylor or Oklahoma State, we're going to make $30 million a year. We need to make a change. And now you're seeing everyone scramble to do so.
Blaine, if we're heading toward 2 super conferences, where half the teams are in one conference and half the teams are in another conference, why don't we just blow up conferences altogether? Well, why wouldn't it just be independent? Why don't you just play a 12-game regular season schedule? Because the opponents, if you have half the teams in your conference, you're basically playing all over the country anyway. Why do we even need it? You can have Fox do half the broadcast, ESPN do half the broadcast. Why do we even need conferences? Why do we need the Pac-16? Why do we need the SEC? Let's just go independent, man.
You're right.
It's the same thing.
It's a real Kelly Clarkson situation.
It really is.
Miss Independent here. I like the regional idea. I really do, but it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Well, it did happen. Now it's not happening.
From a money standpoint, it'll never happen. From a TV deal standpoint, it'll never happen. Do y'all worry about when it comes to regional stuff, like the competitiveness of certain teams and conferences?
Well, I think it goes
Could they maintain the competitiveness?
You look at Alabama, where they were before Nick Saban, and now they get up, and then Georgia, and then they get up. I think it's all cyclical. It's why people be running the triple option here in 30 years anyway. But another one that I find interesting when you look at this is at what point too, when you have these teams that are kind of aligning with each other, and all right, well, we want to play, USC wants to go to the Big Ten. At what point could you just separate football from the other sports?
Yes, that's what I was
like if you say, okay, well, we want, how would that work though?
It'd be very difficult because, like you and I have talked about, these are public institutions. It's not private. It's not like the NFL made a minor league and now we're having all these problems. These were schools, they're universities, they receive public funding. So now it's hard to go backwards and fix all the problems. You talk about building the parachute on the way down. Sometimes they're not even building a parachute, they're just falling. But I agree with you 100%. You have to treat football different, not just because it's the biggest revenue driver, because it's different in its identity. You can't play any more games basically than we're playing, and you can't play them any more frequently than we're already playing. So that, and also guys, I'm telling you, I know it seems like a crazy outside the box idea, but the more and more I start thinking about this, the more I start thinking that a relegation system could potentially work in college football. I don't think it can work in baseball so much. I don't think it can work in the NFL or other professional sports leagues. Baseball is a little bit different when you start talking about their minor league. But college football, you asked a good question. Can these teams, if you were to go back to a regional approach under one big, ESPN or Fox merger or whatever, you just had college football away from all the other sports, and you went back and you broke it up regionally, kind of like we've always had, would the teams be able to remain competitive and have parity? Well, in a relegation system, you could. Maybe the group of 5 winner who moves up is competitive more than
my only pushback, and there's a few things I think you have to tweak, but whenever you're overhauling a system like that, if you only have a few things to tweak, you're in a good situation. With the relegation is, if we're going to have relegation, that means you have to separate the Power 5 and the Group of 5 champion. That means that the Group of 5 cannot win a national championship against the Power 5.
Which they're already not doing.
Well, I mean, Cincinnati did make the playoff, and then they get moved up. You talk about relegation.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
There's not even a possibility.
There's not even a possibility, or that takes away the whole point of relegation.
Is there not, though? Because the best team, let's just take Cincinnati from, and I'm playing this out in real time, you may be right. Cincinnati from a season ago could have still made the playoff, and still possibly already qualified to move up the next year.
Then what's the downside of getting moved down to Group of 5 if you still have a chance to win the Power 5 championship?
Possibly only TV deals and scheduling.
But let's say Notre Dame's the worst team, and just to run this ground ball out, let's say Notre Dame's the worst team in the Power 5 and they get relegated down. I mean,
Notre Dame's a weird one too.
Well, yeah. What if it's a bigger school? It's not.
Yeah, I guess
it's not always going to be a smaller school.
You can't have 2 separate leagues and still everyone vie for the same championship.
Yes.
What I've been saying is we need a Group of 5 champion anyway.
And see, if that's what you're saying, then relegation works in that way. It works in that way. I look at what Tulane can possibly do. I look at Cincinnati getting in.
But they would be up this year because Tulane balled last year.
No, and
was it bottom 3 teams?
And I get that, but still you'd have to have a separation.
One, I think. And we're going to release the graphic because our boy Cody Nason put this together. So let's just do a whole breakdown segment on relegation.
We'll do a whole breakdown, and I'm going to dive too deep. It's a fascinating discussion. At first, when Danny Kill and some people were bringing it up, I was like, no, I didn't even give it the time of day. And you kind of you look at where college football is now, and there's so much changing. You're like, what's?
Well, it solves that biggest problem that I've been talking to you guys about, that there are too many teams vying for one championship. That's what I keep saying. There's a reason that the NFL and the NBA and MLB all have about the same number of teams, low 30s. Now, granted, they're going for the biggest markets in our country. I don't want to see small towns like Ann Arbor and Statesboro and Auburn not have college football programs anymore. That's the best part of college athletics. But we just need a couple more championships to vie for, I think.
Okay. It's very interesting. We want to know what you think. Let us know, what would you change the name of the ACC to? What would you change the name? All the directional conferences. In the chat, in the comments, what would you change the name to if we're not going to do directions anymore? We're not going to do numbers. There's no point in doing numbers when you add different teams each year. Like you said, you played in the Big Ten forever, and it was never the 10 teams. We want to know what you think. And speaking of relegation, you got teams trying to get to the next level. But if you want to take your style to the next level, Dressing for Success can help you look better and be more confident. And our friends over at Indochino, they got the keys to the street when it comes to that. So whether you're attending an important meeting or networking event, or you simply want to impress your colleagues, our friends at Indochino have everything you need. And look, it's not just shirts. This isn't just the most fancy that you can get. They literally have an option for every occasion. Barbecue, the tailgate. If you need blazers, if you need camp shirts, they have everything. David, you're big on them. Obviously, we all are. Yep. You had a nice little order. The ordering process was easy, and you love to diversify your portfolio.
Yeah, and the sizing is accurate. Look, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I can't just walk into any old place and get a suit that fits me.
Yeah.
Okay? They just don't make clothes that fit me like that. The sizing is what was most important from Indochino. I got a light gray suit. They sit it to me. I love it. And then we also I have the dark green button-down shirt too that I love.
I like the way that looks.
So.
You got the Fierce Tiger shirts, and listen, we know it's hot as hell out there at most places. They have really light clothing as well. So take your style to the next level with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com, use our code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, to get 10% off any purchase $399 or more. And I'm telling you, with what they offer and how expensive everything else is, $399 for their product is not expensive at all, and you get that 10% off. That's INDOCHINO.com. Use promo code BOOSTER. And while you're looking for stuff, make sure you get a Crain & Company candle. Go to the Daily Wire, go to Originals under Crain & Company. We've got some great merch. We got some great ideas we want to throw in there, but we need y'all to sell out what we have. The Flaming Dragon candle, the Get Off My Lawn candle, and the Booster Club shirts. And we have a video that the Hall of Fame winner from the Booster Bets last month, we're going to drop on Friday. He's rocking some of the merch. You're going to like how you feel. Almost did the Joseph A. Bank thing right there. All right, what do we got in the Booster Club?
Got Ken Johnson. What's up, Ken? $5 donation. Says, grant me your wisdom in adopting a college football team. Spent 2 years at UNLV, but my actual alum does not have a program, and I am military.
It's a big decision. He asked me this on Twitter yesterday. He said his military is all over.
Come home.
Here's what you got to ask yourself. Number one, are you somebody that just wants to hop straight to the top of the charts and pick a Georgia, right? Which I wouldn't blame you for that.
I would.
I wouldn't blame you.
I totally
would. Or do you want to take a team that may be working their way up?
The process.
The process. You want to grind it out with them. You want to go through those emotions.
Iowa.
Right? No, you don't want to be bored out of your mind watching
Kentucky.
the game. I got a team for you. All right? It's one that
Talking about the gun line, boss.
we got a lot of confidence in now that the new head man's in charge. Ken, you need to be an Auburn fan.
Wisconsin.
All right? You need to be an Auburn fan, and it starts today. All right? We get done with the show. I need you to go outside and run 3 miles. I need you to think about this. You're a military guy. You can get it done. All right? It's freaking freezing in here, okay? And you'll find out what that means when you Google it. We need more. Bama, Georgia, they got enough. Michigan,
y'all got
everybody's
enough.
My turn.
Y'all got
no.
No.
Yeah, tell them
As a
about Georgia
military
Southern,
man,
Dave.
you understand.
Tell them about Georgia Southern,
You understand
Dave.
the phrase "be all you can be," right? So why not be a fan of the team that has the most wins in the history of the sport we're talking about? Come on over.
I just wish y'all would quit contacting
Go blue.
kids and no COVID contact.
All right,
Yeah, but just
yeah,
not
you'll never be able to eat a
contacting
hamburger again without being punished. But you know what? You're a military guy. You know you can take care of yourself.
Look, if you want your head guy to wear like gym shorts and roller skates around like
Erroneous.
They caught him licking construction paper in the gym the other day.
That is true, but still, that's our guy, and we love
makes
it.
every decision with one of those 8 balls.
Walking, he's eating crowns. All right, let's go to Nathan Johnston. $5 donation. What's up, Nate? Please tell me you have that clip of Yankee manager Aaron Boone mimicking the ump last night.
Our boy Hefe. pointed this out.
Well. Let's go ahead and play it. We got it up right here. Oh, yeah.
I love it. Fight.
Every bit. I'm going to get every bit of it. I just want to get thrown out just once. Get him up. Get your finger out of my face. I'll put my finger inside your face.
And Aaron's just like, you can't hit.
Look at him. Get down there and show him.
So you can't do this with robots?
There he is.
You can't do this with robots?
There he is right here. He cranked the soldier boy on him.
What started the lawnmower?
Oh, you asked. Listen, is that not great sports show service? You asked for it, and it's teed up. Great job, producer Justine.
You know what would make that
add a gold star to your column.
You know what would make that better?
If they
What?
fought.
If they fought.
Yeah, listen, you've won me over. I just need a little bit.
You want them to fight the
It's
refs,
amazing. A
dude?
lot of people are coming on the band.
Yeah, well, we need rules
I hear Travis
again.
Kelce. I hear Joe Rogan. I'm hearing all
We
this.
need
but
rules.
now-
You want them to fight the refs too? Is no one safe on the field?
No.
Okay.
The umpires need to be ready.
No one's safe
You know
in
how
the
many
stands.
people want to punch Angel Hernandez in the face?
Oh.
He would be the first. He'd get fought every game. He missed 23 calls the
Look,
other
keep missing
the other
calls.
night.
Keep missing calls.
You want to talk about
think right there,
accountability?
he can just deck the home plate umpire if he wants.
Oh, absolutely.
And the umpire can hit him back?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Blaine's
America.
It's Blaine's
I tell you what, the
world,
more you
y'all.
talk about it, the more I like it.
It's
Let's go to Patrick Rye, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Pat.
Right.
Should just be like the Senior Bowl games now in terms of conference, East and West, with 30 teams each with playoffs and a Super Bowl. That's where it be headed.
I don't think that's wrong. Like, do we get out of conferences and get into divisions?
That's interesting.
Like the NFL?
Or we talk about regulation fits.
But then would teams on the West be like we're in Nashville? Would that be the West? I mean, the Grizzlies play in the Western Conference, and
I think we could do it better. Yeah. But again, are we going to go back to geography now and then just totally go away from it again? It's like this one big. What is old boy saying? And I pronounce you, Chuck and Larry. It's like a circle.
A circle.
It never ends. Why didn't everybody just go independent? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Notre Dame's
think about it though,
if you really
think about it though, and I want to get in this coaches poll, but if you really think about it, that's really what it is. If you have if you have 100 teams, 50's in one super conference, 50's in another, okay? They're from all over the country. I want to see if you did that, who would travel more miles? An independent school right now, Army, let's say, or just any independent school right now, versus a 50-team super conference. Who would travel more miles? I guarantee you it would be about the same.
But see, the grouping of teams now together is less about the conference they're in and more about the TV provider. See, like,
no, and so we're saying that's the sole reason.
Because if you're independent, right, like you're not going to make as much money on your TV deal unless you're grouped together with a bunch of other teams. That's what
outside of Notre Dame. Outside of Notre Dame.
And that's my point. That's why they've been able to do it, which is why the Texas Longhorn Network kind of was a catalyst for a lot of this, what we're seeing. Like I said yesterday, Steve Dace had a great breakdown on that. But that's why Notre Dame's been able to do this, because they're like, look, our TV deal is not dependent on the rest of the schools grouping
It's on
together.
us.
So,
yeah. I mean, you got a religion. I mean, they're playing for Catholicism.
It's true.
Is what it is.
All right, let's go to Cole Frank, $2 donation.
Yep.
LeBron is mid, MJ's a GOAT, and Bama is overrated.
Oh, man, what a great segue into the Coach Poll. Remember, we're going to get back to the Booster Club. You throw that donation there. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go grab some merch on the way. Let's get into the Coach's Poll.
Bring it up.
Release. Throw it up.
All right, so question for you guys here.
Yep.
What are we doing here? What are the coaches voting on? I love the way that Tim Brando says my top 25 or his top 10, what he did, is what it's going to look like at the end of the season. I'm guessing. What are the coaches doing here? Are they just saying here's who needs to start the season?
Yes, here's who we think is the best team going into the season. But I want to say this. Some coaches, head coaches, right, actually vote on this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't.
Yeah.
A lot of them just have a guy. I've been at places where the head coach did vote. I've been at places where the head coach said, here, assistant coaches, y'all vote. Or DFO, you voted. Whatever. Preseason polls do not matter in the context of outside really of motivation, right? Like of a coach being able to say, hey, look at where the disrespect for us being at number or not being ranked, right? Like me, as an Auburn fan, I'm glad we're not ranked in this. I'm glad it's a chip on the shoulder, right? But people then say, oh, well, you look at a team, just to use Auburn as another example, in 2004 that started outside of the top 5 and weren't able to get back in because of where they were ranked before. Well, that wasn't a coach's poll ranking, right? That was a different ranking system than we have now. It's a little bit of a different operating system. That's why they kept trying to tweak it. I think it's even lost its heaviness when it comes to affecting the outcome of who gets into what, just because of the way the operating system we have now. So this really means nothing other than it's fun to talk about, right? And it lets you know kind of where we're at. You look at the notches of the season, right? You have the second signing day in February. Then we get to spring practice. Then you get to summer workouts. Then you get to then you get to media day. Then you get to the coaches poll. It's kind of like the stepping stones on your way to Mordor to see if Frodo will really throw the ring in the fire or not. But I'm glad we're to this point, right?
Fun.
Because we got the poll out.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun.
Talk about, does it matter?
No, does not matter at all. But we want to play a game called Too High or Too Low. All right, and what we mean by too high is closest to 1. All right, too low, closest to 25. So if your team's ranked too low, we think you should have a better ranking. If your team's ranked too high, we think you should have a worse ranking. Let's start with too high.
Okay.
Okay? Let's start with too high. And listen, y'all know me, I'm going to call it like I see it. All right? We're all a fan of somebody, but Bama at 3 to me is too high. They're too high. And I get it. Look, Nick Saban's the head man. Haven't haven't won less than double-digit games in 15 years. I get it. Alabama could go undefeated, be the best team in the country this year. That would not shock me. But when you look at where Alabama was, and if you really look at it, right, and they're transitioning back to what got them there, bully ball, right? Nick Saban dominated college football with bully ball. Really, outside of 2020, that's how Alabama won, right? That's how they came up. They had a monopoly on offensive linemen and defensive linemen. They didn't have to have Bryce Young at quarterback. They didn't have to have a first-round draft pick at every position at the skill position on offense. They could line up, and we called them FU runs, our middle finger runs. It's 3rd and 2. I know you're running it. God knows you're running it. You know I'm running it, and you can't stop it. Same thing on defense. They would just overwhelm you up front. They were so much better than you were up front, regardless of what system or who you had at quarterback. It really didn't matter. That's why it shocked us when we saw Clemson beat them in the national championship game. That's the first time we really saw it. But they're trying to go back to that, right? They've gotten a lot cuter lately. They haven't been the best running team in the country, right? Because they haven't really stuck with it. A lot of it was the RPO game, Bryce Young keeping the ball, Lane Kiffin spitting it around, and in 2020 it made sense. Now the question becomes, can Alabama be that bully ball team again? Because that's what they're going back to with Tommy Rees. That's what Nick Saban said he wanted to go back to. But do they have that same monopoly on the offensive line? And the defensive line, Georgia, better up front. Michigan, better up front. LSU on the offensive line and possibly defensive line. You can make an argument. Ohio State, you can make an argument. Alabama isn't the biggest dog at the dance anymore. Does that mean they can get back to it with an unproven quarterback, right? So you're going into it not knowing if you can be a bully in the run game with an unproven quarterback, and you're moving a guy to left tackle. You're replacing your left tackle. And I don't care if people say, oh, well, he's a guard that moved to tackle. That's unbelievably hard. Hell, it's hard to move from right tackle to left tackle. It's like dribbling with both hands. Some guys are really good. Most people are right side dominant. So I get Alabama has top 7 personnel in the country. They recruited at a high level. But putting Bama in front of LSU, who won the West last year, beat Bama, and returns everybody, where does that LSU get worse at? Mm-hmm. Where did they get worse at? Putting them in front of Ohio State?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's one that's too high to me.
Where would you have them?
I would have them probably, because I'm going to get to my second one here in a second. I don't want to blow that. I would have Bama probably at 7. That's where I'd have them. That's where I'd have them at 7. I'd have Georgia. I would have Georgia, Michigan, LSU, Ohio State, Florida State, Texas at 6, and then Bama at 7.
Texas that high.
Texas at 6.
Wow.
I'm going to get to that. I don't want to give away too much.
Go ahead. I want to tee this up for you here.
Well, mine's going to be Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mine's going to be Tennessee because of a couple reasons. One, I don't believe in Joe Milton. I don't believe Joe Milton's going to be the true starter throughout the season of the year, and not saying because he's going to get hurt, so he's going to make too many mistakes. You lose too many great positions, skill positions at wide receiver, and I really don't believe in your defense that much, especially with the up-tempo offense. Hendon Hooker did a lot for this team last year. A lot for this team. And you really look in depth. I love what Heupel does system-wise. I think Joe's going to play okay, but I don't think he's going to play good enough for Tennessee to be a top 10 team. I don't think they're going to put up the amount of numbers on offense that they did last year, and I don't think their defense is going to hold up when their offense plays that system, be able to keep up and stop people. I think they're a top 25 team. I don't think they're a top 10 team. I think you can look at them from that 15 to 20 range. That's where I'd put Tennessee.
7 and 10, I agree with you. I agree with you. Not that I think Tennessee should be top 15, right? But I don't think they should be top 10. I look at number 7 and I look at number 10. Drew Aller at Penn State, they're at number 7, and Joe Milton at number 10 at Tennessee. Here's, again, what I want to say about Joe Milton, and I hope he figures it out, right? But those two are the biggest hinge players. I call them hinge players. If the team around them is good enough where if they play well, I can see them having a lot of success. But here's my point on Joe Milton. So the running theory behind Joe Milton figuring it out is, all I hear is that he has this unbelievably strong arm, and he does. He is, our friend J.D. Piquel said he has the launch code, so I'll do you one better. He is the launch code, right? If I wanted somebody to win a long throwing contest, it's like guys in a long drive contest. There's a reason they're not on the PGA Tour, because the game is more than just how far and how hard you can throw it. It's like pitching. Pitching is an art form. It's not just, if it was just who could throw it the hardest, that'd be a totally different sport. That's not what we're looking at. But people act like they didn't know Joe Milton had a strong arm. Mm-hmm. Joe Milton just didn't start lifting weights last year and be able to throw the ball 90 yards. This has been one of the reasons Joe Milton has been able to go to Michigan and then to Tennessee and win those jobs, right? It's one of the reasons he got recruited, because he has a strong arm. He hasn't figured out, at least to this point in a game, the final piece to the puzzle, and that's nuance. If he does, Tennessee may not be a top 10 team. They may have a chance to beat Georgia at home and be a top 5 team.
Joe Milton was a starter going into last year.
And at Michigan.
Yeah, he's lost both those jobs. Yeah. So, he has the launch codes, but if your missile doesn't hit the target, it doesn't.
Yeah. What has changed?
He did have a good bowl game, and again, can we see growth from him while he sat behind Hendon Hooker? I just don't know. That's very possible.
How do you put that in somebody?
Enough growth for him to be a top 10 football team.
Exactly. I agree with both of you on this. I think LSU needs to be ranked higher. They won that division last year. I think you move Alabama back, and I agree with everything you guys are saying about Joe Milton. And another thing is, we hear a lot of times that he throws a great deep ball, right? But he needs to have a change-up. He needs to have a softer touch on the intermediate passing game. But he was most inaccurate down the field.
Yeah,
it was the deep balls he was overthrowing the most. That's what worried me the most. But again, we haven't seen him be the guy. When we saw him in the bowl game, he looked really good. And sitting behind Hendon Hooker and under the great tutelage of Josh Heupel, maybe we've seen the growth. But I agree. I don't think you put him 10, and that's not the only one. 6 of those teams in the top 10. 3 on the first line. Georgia, Alabama, the Buckeyes. On the second line there, Penn State, Clemson, and Tennessee. All 6 of those schools are going to start brand new quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's amazing the turnover and then the lack of turnover you have like in the Pac-12. But I want to say this to Tennessee fans. I hope Joe Milton has figured it out. Mm-hmm. I love the kid, the guy. He's not a kid, he's a man. I love the type man he is. I love the type leader he is. And I think maybe something too that we need to make sure that we hit is that the system that Josh Heupel runs and that Tennessee runs on offense, he doesn't have to be the most accurate quarterback in the country. He's just got to get right. You don't need to paint the black. You just need to throw to contact sometimes.
Yes.
Right? You need to throw strikes. It doesn't have to be 1,000 miles an hour. You don't have to sit here and show off everything. If you can just get close. You don't have to hit him right here. Hit him right here, right? I think he can make that adjustment. What he can't do is have these wild misses over the middle and things like that. That's my main point. Because when guys that throw hard, where do they typically miss, Dave? They miss up.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. They miss up. You can't miss up over the middle in this game.
And to me, in that Josh Heupel offense, it's so timing-based. Nothing messes up the timing and the rhythm of an offense more than being inaccurate.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, too. But if he does figure it out, I think that we're going to be watching an unbelievable Tennessee team because Josh Heupel's already built that foundation. You get some big home games, so let's see. But to me, when I was looking at this, I thought, this is why I was teeing you up, I thought for sure you'd go Texas A&M here. Now, they're ranked 25. But what have we seen necessarily from Texas A&M to warrant a top 25 ranking? I know they're coming off, they're a year now removed from that number 1 overall recruiting ranking. And you said a year ago, hey, I think Texas A&M's a year away. And that very well may be the case, that they have an awesome season and Bobby Petrino now being the OC is just the piece they needed to figure out. I'm not predicting Texas A&M to have a bad season. We're just going off of rankings here on preseason, right? What have we seen? They have the same record last year as Auburn had.
Yeah, well, I'll let you help.
For some reason, it's a Matthew McConaughey, a floozy. They just believe in Texas A&M. Doesn't matter what they is. It doesn't matter what they do or who shows up. They're going to put A&M in the top 25. I don't know if it's a money thing, if Jimbo Fisher knows somebody that we don't, or what it is. How's South Carolina not ranked? How's South Carolina not ranked?
That's a good one.
After they finish the year, how are they not ranked? We put A&M in there? I mean, hell, Tulane at 23. Pump them up a little bit. It's just,
I agree.
It doesn't make sense. There's no reason. It's just based off, I guess, maybe what they'll have walking in the year.
Tulane's the only, now that you have a couple others that have moved up. Tulane's the only group of 5 team in here. I don't know if you realize that or not. Here's my thing about A&M. Number 1, 25 is the worst spot to be ranked. I'd rather just not be ranked so then I can use that saying we're not ranked. Mm-hmm. I'm like, we're ranked. 25th, right? That's like there being 5 girls at the bar and like you're with the 5th one. You're like the ugliest pretty one. Yeah. Like that's a tough situation to be. But here's what I do want to say about A&M. And again, we give our predictions the week leading up to the first game. We want to see who gets hurt, who wins what job. I mean, A&M, you got Connor Wegman, Max Johnson. I think Connor's going to win it. Here's what I do want to say. I think there's a good chance A&M goes 9-3 this year. Mm-hmm. And that would be, and last year when I said they're a year away, I was looking up front. And a year away to me for A&M doesn't mean you're going to win the national championship the next year. I think what I meant was I called what they were going to do in 2022, nailed it, hit it right on the head. In 2023, I think they go 9-3. Right now, that's where I'm leaning. Right? Not final prediction, that's where I'm leaning. I think 2024 is the year. They'll be old up front. They'll be old on the outside because they've got talent right now. It's still developing, and I think Wegman's going to be the guy this year, and he'll be totally ready to make that big push, right, next year. I think 2024 is the year for A&M to start being championship caliber. That's what I think. Here's why it's going to work with Bobby Petrino. People make their jokes about A&M. I'm not a trends guy. If you've ever been in it, coached or played, y'all know this. Every year's different. Every team is different. Every circumstance is different. I think they trimmed a lot of the fat. There's a lot of prima donnas gone off that team. I think the culture was screwed up. But here's why it's going to work with Bobby Petrino. And I watched that press conference he did. I've coached against Petrino, right? We beat him when he was at Western Kentucky. When I was at South Alabama, it was a hell of a game. We picked the ball off in the end zone to win it. I know the way this man operates. There is nobody that is better. I would say he's top three to top five, formationally, setting up plays or calling plays to set up other plays and understanding balance. But here's the trick. Here's what balance is. Y'all want to win the water cooler? You hear all these other guys talk about balance, run, pass, run, pass, run. Here, you know what balance is? Balance is making the right decision as the quarterback, putting the quarterback in a position where it's easier to make the right decision. It doesn't mean there's no such thing as 50-50. There's no such thing as 50-50. You can run for 350 yards and throw for 150 yards and it be balanced because you took what the defense gave you. Why do you think this RPO system started happening? Because you had multiple options and you made the defense really choose. Either we're going to try to stop the run or we're going to try and stop the pass. It makes the decision-making easier. Balance isn't just run the pass. Balance is making the right decision. And Bobby Petrino understands how to do that and utilized every third and every blade of grass in that 53 and a third yard wide field. He's going to make you cover every single inch of it. He understands how important the tight end is. He understands how important the deep third is. He understands how important the run game is and the intermediate third. And the biggest thing is he knows when to pitch backwards, play action on first down, spitting the ball out on first down, not getting caught from a tendency standpoint. That's why it's going to work with Bobby Petrino. That's why I think it's going to work with him and Jimbo Fisher. And play calling is a team effort. Never forget that. If you've ever been on a headset, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
And I think you may be right. And if you are, then this ranking would be too low, which comes down to the semantics of do we make our list based off how we think a finish will happen or based off the top 25 teams right now? Because if you're just heading...
I make it based off how they're going to finish. That's how I have to look
And I like that way better. In which case, you would say Texas A&M's ranked too low right now, right? 9-3 is getting them into the top 15.
They're ranked too low right now. Yeah, I would.
So, like a year away for you is winning 9 games.
No, yes, because to me, I think a year away is 9-3. That next year we take the jump 11-1. That's what it is to me.
Well, we went 8-4 in 2021 and 8-4 in 2020. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was 9 games.
No,
really.
They went 9-1.
No, they went 5-7 last year.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 5-7 last year. 2021 they went 8-4.
New team, new circumstance, new offensive coordinator. I think they trim the fat. I think there's a good chance A&M goes 9-3 this year. And again, 2 years away is a long way. But when I'm look at what they are up front. Look at that age group. Look at what they are outside. Look at that age group. Look at what they are at quarterback. They get some confidence this year.
Will you change your mind if they ball out this year and Bobby Petrino leaves?
See, that's an unforeseen circumstance.
That's likely to happen.
Again, that's why I don't make predictions until we get to the last week up into the season, and then projecting 2 years ahead is harder. Mm-hmm. So that's an unforeseen circumstance. If that changes, and it changes the way I look at it. That's the way this works. But my second team that I think is ranked too high is USC. How is USC at 6? How is USC the first Pac-12 team that's ranked? I'm sorry, did Utah just lose everybody? Did Oregon just forget? Being in front of Washington, I get it. Being in front of Oregon State, I get it. But I'm so sick of this leaning toward, you have Caleb Williams, so that means they had Caleb Williams last year, he won the Heisman, balled out. They were great on offense last year. We talk about balance in play calling, right? You have to be balanced as a team. If USC gets better on defense, they get a little bit better, guess what? They still suck on defense. They better get worlds better. Worlds better. Utah, if they played Utah in Lincoln Riley's backyard, I'd take Utah because Utah's more physical. This game is about physicality. This just wave riding of USC all of the time. And listen, Cowherd will gas him up. I get it. He's a West Coast guy. This is y'all's Bama, right? This is y'all's big brand. I get that. But they're bad on defense. Yes, Caleb Williams, great. He's fantastic. They're going to be really good on offense. But can they line up against Utah and go man-to-man? No. At least you haven't shown it to me. Can they line up against Oregon and go man-to-man? No. You haven't shown it to me. Hell, I'd take Penn State over them. I'd take Florida State over them. I think Tennessee'd probably beat them too. I think Texas would. And Notre Dame may beat them during the year because they're at least physical. Everybody just bowing down to USC. They couldn't tackle a math problem in a third grade classroom. And I'm sick of everybody kissing USC's ass when they kick USC's ass on the field. I'm tired of it. You got him at 6? Did Lincoln Riley vote 30 times?
I mean, they can't play defense, but they always outscore everybody.
Explain it. When? They didn't outscore Utah. Hell, they couldn't outscore Tulane. They couldn't outscore Tulane.
You went 11-3 with no defense, 8-1 in conference.
Who'd they beat?
UCLA, Notre Dame.
There was no Washington or Oregon on there.
Yeah, you beat Notre Dame, who lost to Marshall.
So do you like them at 6, Blaine?
I don't mind it.
They got to prove it to me.
I think your defense was one thing about their defense last year. I would say they got one of the most turnovers in the country, which was the only reason they could hang on late in games. But I do think it's just so hard for me to doubt Caleb Williams in that offense. There's no way they're going to be worse on defense. There's no way. So I think, did you lose Jordan Addison? Yeah, but USC will have receivers, obviously. I think USC is just so good on offense. They play with anybody week in, week out. And you see that. They're not going to you got to think they're going to stop more people this year than they did last year, right?
I don't know.
There's no way USC didn't get better.
Okay, let's say they're a little bit better. They're a little bit better. You got them at 6?
I think you can make an argument 6 through 10.
Well, I'm not saying you can make an argument.
I'm fine with them at 6. I'm fine with. I think you could. Other than Tennessee, to me, Penn State to me is kind of a weary thing too, because there's a lot of questions when it comes to Penn State and Drew Aller, because we don't know.
Yeah, I think there's one question.
We don't know. And
it's
you're only as good as what when it comes to college football. There are 2 things: up front and your quarterback.
I agree with that.
All right. So Penn State can have a great defense. Drew Aller falls apart, then they're gone at 7. I think Florida State's ranked too low, in my opinion. Right? I think you could talk about Florida State being the top 5 team this year just because of roster they're bringing back. Clemson, Cade Klubnik, don't know at all. I think USC right now could beat Clemson because one, Clemson doesn't have the skill guys they used to have. They're not putting up the points that they used to put. Their defense is going to be good, but can they keep up with USC? And USC, if USC's any better on defense, especially in the front 7, they could play with any of these teams in the top 10, other than Georgia and Michigan. And we'll see with Bama.
I think Bama would beat them to sleep. I think Bama would beat USC to sleep.
Bama couldn't run the ball.
I think against USC they could. Hell, the little Giants could run the ball against USC. Did you watch that defense play?
USC would have put up 35 plus last year against Bama.
Bama would have scored 50. With Bryce Young?
Okay, that's what USC wants. USC wants to run with you. That's what you want to run? Then we'll run.
Oh, okay. But you think that USC's defense last year against Bama would have stopped Bama's offense more than Bama's defense would have stopped USC's offense?
I think it's a fair argument.
So Tulane was better than Bama.
I feel like Tulane and Bama would have been a close game.
Okay, your words.
Would have been a close game.
Your words.
For sure it would have.
You know
your
what's
words.
interesting here is you got Georgia, Alabama, Penn State, Clemson, and the Buckeyes are all very similar to me. Very strong rosters, great defenses, breaking in new quarterbacks, and it seems like Southern Cal is the complete inverse of that. where you have the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, a guy who's being compared to Patrick Mahomes, is going to be the consensus number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, but you're struggling on that defensive side. And yeah, look, they matched up with Utah twice last year, who's been the most physical team in that conference and won the championship the past 2 years. Are we going to see that continue, especially in a year where SC is going to have to go to Notre Dame, and now Washington and I believe Oregon are both on the schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't play either one of them last season, the back half of that schedule.
They got Oregon State?
We've been talking about it. I don't know. I don't know.
So.
But either way, I like them a little more at 9 or 10 rather than 6, but, you know.
Yeah.
Especially, I love the points you made about Utah and Oregon, which kind of got me into some teams that I thought were a little too, how are we saying, too low. Ranked too low.
Yeah,
I mean, with Oregon and Utah both bringing back quarterbacks, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Cam Rising at the beginning of the season, but he's not out for the year. Yeah. And Bo Nix returning at Oregon, I think you could slide them up.
I agree. I
agree too, 100%. I tell you, another team that kind of falls into that category to me is Kansas State. How the hell's Kansas State at 17?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You got Will Howard coming back. You're gonna be good up front.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I'd take Kansas State in front of 8, 9 teams that are in front of them.
Like which ones?
I would take Kansas State over TCU. I would take Kansas State over Notre Dame, even with Sam Hartman. I would take Kansas State over Tennessee. I would take Kansas State over Clemson, over Penn State, over USC. So 6 teams I'd take them over. With Will Howard coming back, with the identity of that team, with coming off a Big 12 championship, I think they're two. And another team, I'll stay in the Big 12. And I'll say it, because I'm not a trends guy. You can say, Texas, we're back. They say it every year. I don't care what they say every year. It's this year. I think Texas is too low. I think Texas is a top 10 team. What does Texas not have? What do they not have?
The trust factor. And that's why why you see Alabama at 3, right? It's just a trust factor thing when it comes to
I get that. Quinn Ewers, you've got one of the best offensive lines in the country. You returned 5 of your 6 top wide receivers, and you added A.D. Mitchell, a guy in Georgia who was balled out in the college football playoff. I think he's caught a touchdown pass in every college football playoff game that he's played at in Georgia. And defensively, I finally think Texas is to a point up front when you look at that front 7 where they can actually run with the big dogs. And we're going to find out week 2 when they go to Alabama, but make all the jokes, the we're back jokes, whatever, that's fine. That's a fan thing. That's enjoy. It's what makes college football great is the trash talking. But I'm telling you right now, it is going to be very, very hard for me, boys, to not put Texas in the college football playoff. It's going to be very, very hard for me to do it. I think they're ranked too low with Kansas State.
You feel the same way?
I agree. I mean, from a roster standpoint, it's hard not to look at Texas and not think they're a top 10 football team, right? Especially, how's Tennessee in front of them? You know, how's Clemson in front of them? I mean, I know you go look at the record they had last year, but a lot of that barring what? Barring injury to Quinn Ewers, especially in that Alabama game. Who knows if they won that game, how their season would have turned out. But you bring back so much. Another year under Sark. They're only going to get better. Obviously, the biggest question to them is their secondary. I think their front 7 on defense is going to be solid. Your offensive line is one of the best in the nation. And you have nothing. You have the best receiving core in the nation.
Yeah, it's
hands
dog.
Down.
Xavier
Hands
Worthy,
down.
A.D. Mitchell, you
Hands
go across
down.
the board. It's witchcraft and wizardry. They're in potions class on the outside right now.
There's proof in the pudding of Texas being a really good football team.
That's losing Bijan Robinson, too.
Yeah. And their backup, who's a dog.
Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we're going to find out soon enough when they go to Tuscaloosa. I do agree about Oregon. I agree about Kansas State. I agree about Tulane. Oklahoma, I think, is in the right spot, even though I think their schedule is so easy that they're going to have a good year, which could throw a wrench into who wins the Big 12 now that we're talking about it. Then a couple more that stood out to me being left off. UTSA is not on here. You know, we were talking about some of those teams there at the bottom, Ole Miss and Texas A&M. It's like, why can't UTSA, who's won that conference 2 years running now, get top 25 consideration? Auburn Tigers. We're the Auburn Tigers.
No, we're
Go ahead,
good.
throw them in there at 24, 25.
Why would we throw
25 and a half.
Tell me why we throw them in there.
Just because I wanted to see your reaction. and I don't have as big of a problem with Kentucky and UCLA being left off as some people do. How do you guys feel about those two teams?
UCLA, I mean, again, you lost so much. I get that. You know, people say South Carolina, and I get it with Spencer Rattler coming back, but South Carolina's not very good up front on either side of the ball. You got a group of 5 offensive line. We're going to find out. You know, I'm rooting for Shane Beamer. I think he's the guy there in Columbia, but I understand there being some question marks. I'm a little surprised that Arkansas didn't sneak on there with KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders. We'll find out a little bit more about them defensively. No, I mean, it's outside of that. I think it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close, but I'm not shocked that neither one of those teams were on there.
I think Washington.
How about UTSA?
Yeah, that's what he was.
That's what I said.
Oh, UTSA. Yeah. I'm glad Iowa's not on there.
Yeah, some people were
24.3 points.
Thank you. This is never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Speaking in
There's no way.
I think Washington's probably in a good spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about Oregon State?
Oregon State.
Is Oregon State too high with DJ Uiagalelei coming in?
I think
their
they're
roster's
so good on the offensive
good.
line. I think they're right there, kind of not in the middle, but a little above the middle. Like I would have been fine with them anywhere 15 and higher.
Okay. What about North Carolina and Wisconsin, 20 and 21?
Look, Wisconsin. You know what I feel about Wisconsin. I think that you're going to look up Wisconsin maybe 10 and 2. And playing for winning the Big Ten West and playing either Michigan or Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. North Carolina, again, you lose downs. We talk about defense, talk about USC's defense. I mean, North Carolina with Gene Chizik, I mean, you would think they would be a little bit better. I'm a little wary about them. I'm so intrigued to see this South Carolina-North Carolina game. I think it's going to be a Globetrotters game, 55-48, somewhere around there, 55-51 in this first game. I don't know. I'm not sold on North Carolina. I think it's going to come down to Clemson and Florida State in the ACC. I'm interested to see that third. I tell you, watch out for NC State with Brennan Armstrong, okay? The quarterback who was at Virginia, that lefty, he's got some dog in him. And they're coming off a year in which there was a lot of expectation that they didn't meet. They were really beat up. Dave Doran's a hell of a ball coach. Don't be shocked if NC State kind of works their way in the top 4 of the ACC there.
Well, I went out on a limb for him last season, so I'm not doing that again. And I do really like Brennan Armstrong, but he's replacing another quarterback I really like too, in Devin Leary, who's now at Kentucky. So if he were the missing piece, and they didn't have a great quarterback last season, even though I know Devin Leary was a little bit banged up, I could get behind that a little bit more. But hey, we're going to find out soon enough.
Pittsburgh's in that boat too now.
Pittsburgh just outside the top 25.
Watch Pittsburgh; they can always sneak up. Pittsburgh's always. It sucks to go play on the road.
Yeah.
They'll beat you quick.
They're all, especially on defense. They always got those like 2 guys, especially that one guy up front.
Yeah,
they're just a lot better than everybody.
Well, shoot, I watched their back that they had last year, Enadike, I believe. Mm-hmm. Or wait, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Akumba Dike. I can't remember. It's an interesting last name. He was in the preseason game, and he was a hell of a player last year for him, and he belongs in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I was able to watch that, but. Want to move on. I want to get to the Booster Club. But first, is that dark spot on your face, is it still bothering you? Let's be honest. Look in the mirror right now. It is, isn't it? Or what about all those sunspots all over your body? Well, now you can watch them disappear. All right, it's like throwing the invisibility cloak on. Second Harry Potter reference today. Safely and quickly in 3 minutes with Genucel's Dark Spot Luxury System. It does exactly what it sounds like. By using their world-famous microdermabrasion before the dark spot corrector, you'll see the dark spots disappear before your very eyes. Illusions, Father. Illusions. Instantly, smoothly, and luxuriously. Look, we use this. It's for men and women. David, you use it all the time. That's why you got that clean
twice a day. So the answer to your question, do I still have those dark spots? No. So I've been using Genucel.
If there was a coach's poll for skincare,
hit me.
Genucel would be number 1.
Number 1.
It'd be number 1 for sure.
Look, I never sleep. I haven't slept in years.
Yeah.
See any dark spots?
No.
You know why?
You're basically a vampire now.
I am. There's no crosses or garlic, and I'll be all right.
Yeah, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you'll see the results or 100% of your money back. You want to talk about confidence? That's amazing, isn't it? So go to Genucel.com. By the way, the Booster Club sold out Genucel. So shout out to Booster Club. Genucel.com/booster to order the new dark spot treatment system today and say goodbye to those pesky spots tomorrow. That's Genucel.com/booster right now, and you'll save over 70% off Genucel's most popular package. Guys, you can't get 70% off of anything right now in this economy, and that includes the dark spot system. So go to Genucel.com/booster. That's BOOSTER. Helps us, helps you, helps your skin, helps America. That's Genucel.com/booster. Booster Club.
Let's go to Dabo Sweeney. What's up, Coach? $2 donation. So, David, give me the Braves chop. Blaine, where the New York Yankees at? Hey, man, why don't y'all worry about beating South Carolina? All right?
There it is.
Yeah.
Great
do
job,
it, Dave.
Ravens, man.
Do it, Dave. Yeah. Good for you.
Pirates. We gotta
hope
beat
that
the
feels
Pirates,
good.
Man.
Hope that feels good for you.
Gotta beat
also
the
go
Pirates.
Rangers.
Spencer's on the mound yesterday. We can't beat the Pirates.
Man, he got
Jack Sparrow
shelled a little bit, huh?
You know how it is.
I do.
Every now and then.
I wish he wouldn't do that when I take
the
it.
Rangers, thanks for winning by 2, boys. Appreciate it.
Hey, I will say this. I do worry about when Spencer Strider faces the Pirates because he 100% has a pirate mustache.
Look,
and it takes a pirate to know a pirate.
Yeah. Let's go to Patrick Rye with another donation. Patty coming in hot today. $5 donation. Atlantic Pacific Coast Conference.
Atlantic Pacific
Southeastern Midwestern Conference. Big Ten Conference. And packed up and gone.
So America.
Packed up and gone.
America.
Here's the thing, though. Do we just start naming, like, if you can't use numbers and you can't use location, what do you name the conference? Like, does the Big Ten just become the big conference? And what is the SEC after that? The huge big conference?
Gigantic, huge big conference.
Hear me out here.
World.
Legends.
Yeah, no.
Leaders.
We should just start naming them after Patriots. This is the Paul Revere Conference.
Yeah. This is the British are coming.
No, that's that'll get torn down.
Yeah,
that'll come down. In today's society?
Like, this is the Megan Rapinoe Conference.
Yeah. We just blow it when it matters.
It'll be Florida State, wide
Squeeze
right.
Liberal, $5 donation. Kiffin has been practicing his players less with more of an emphasis on a classroom time and walkthroughs. Is that good or a bad sign? With Ole Miss.
We talked
We're gonna
about
find
this
out.
yesterday.
I told you that.
Yeah.
We talked about this yesterday.
Hey, Lane, get out of the chat.
Yeah.
Lane, be yourself. You're going to get in the chat, Lane.
out.
Be yourself. Like, say it's Lane. More time and less practice time, which, by the way, we got a great interview with Jeff Collins.
That's what reminded me of it. Yeah.
When we talked about fall camp, we're dropping that this week because we are going to Vegas right after this to go hang out with Dana White and do the power slap thing, which that's one of the coolest sentences I've ever said in my life. Just enjoy that for a second. Okay. So we've got some great content for Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll be back live Friday. Just want to let y'all know that.
And Coach Collins talks about that question a little bit. I didn't hear that Lane was doing that, but I do remember that Jim Harbaugh started doing that at Michigan right when he got there, because I was talking to some guys on the staff, and it kind of was odd to me right when I heard it, like spending more time actually walking through the drills than having 11-on-11 practice. But it seems to have worked for what he was trying to do there.
Well, then look, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Sure.
But when we talked about this with Coach Collins, and this is something I've seen firsthand, I know you guys have too, you don't have to be out there. Some of the best practices I've ever been a part of weren't 4 hours long. They were an hour and a half long, and it was boom, 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 boom. It's not how much time, it's how you're using your time. And I think that once you learn how to practice, it's like by the time you get to fall camp, if you don't know how to practice, you're already screwed.
Yeah.
Like it's, you better be unbelievably talented. You better be able to make up for it.
Speaking of unbelievably talented, Byron Davis with a $10 donation. Thank you, Byron, a.k.a. the Bone Collector.
Ooh.
All right, what happens to Jimbo if he goes 7-5 and Texas wins the Big 12 and goes to the college football playoff? Jake Cone Blaine, the best in business. Thanks for making a true sports show for the people. Love you, Byron.
Of course. For the people, by the people.
Exactly. Exactly. Clip
That's
that,
a
please.
Oh,
Clip that.
Here's what I'll say. Outside of there being an absolute disaster, like 4-8, does 5-7 get Jimbo fired? Because they would owe him. I know they got a ton of money, but they would owe him so much less in 2 years than they would in 1 year. Unless he goes 4-8, I don't think they let him go.
I don't know.
I think 7-5.
2024 is a year, though.
Well, I think it could be the year. All I do is try and get up here.
7-5 wouldn't be, man. 7-5, you're going to hear a lot of chirping.
Here's the thing, though. Here's what I think you'll see. I think you'll hear, and listen, every fan, I get fan bases having high expectations. A&M's done, it's been since 1939, man. We ain't even dropped into Normandy yet. All right, last time they won it. I get it. Okay, I 100% get it. Until 2010, it was 1957. Okay? All right, for the squad I'm out here repping. All right, but I'm also telling the truth about. Never forget that. But 9-3, I think A&M fans will still be pissed. I think they'll be pissed about 9-3. I think they would.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sasha.
There's some Georgia fans. There's some Georgia fans out here mad about back-to-back championships.
No, there's Georgia fans mad out here about losing a couple recruits.
I know.
Look, they're supposed to go 7-5, David.
Yeah, you didn't hear?
You don't forget that.
I didn't hear. I did not hear.
Let's go to Sasha. $5 donation. Thanks, Sasha. Should the first ranking of the year be a re-ranking of the final ranking of the year prior?
No.
I do that with the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like Georgia's ranked number 1. I don't care if they lost every player on the team. They're reigning back-to-back champions. And before they won it,
you think if you
I
win
put
it
Alabama.
regardless, they should be number 1 going into the next year?
That's just how I do it. It's more of a troll on the idea of having these polls. Okay. But that's not the same. That's why I don't treat my poll that I fill out the same as, hey, here's who I think is going to win the national championship this year. Sometimes it might be the same.
That's how I do it. That's how I do it. Like, I just can't. I have to. When I make mine, or make my predictions, I don't do a poll, which maybe we should do a poll this year. Should we do a Crain?
Well, if we could all get consensus, not just in this room, but around the country, to do what Tim Brando is saying, where it's like, hey, our top 25, I'm going ahead and making predictions as to who's going to win these conferences, who's going to win these bowl games, and who's going to win the playoff games and the championship, and then we make our ranking based off that, then yes, I could do it. But if we're just going to say, hey, here's a quasi-ranking of how teams finished last year combined with how they've recruited, then it's like, well, no one has beaten the team that just won the championship a couple months ago.
All right.
Let's go to Texas Ed. He says the biggest question mark for Texas is the running back room. No longer have an alien in the backfield. Jonathan Brooks, Jaden Blue are going to be great. Biggest thing to hold them back is Sark.
See, I disagree with you, Texas Ed. I think Sark is good enough to get the job done.
Wait, maybe he just put Sark as in Sark said that.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Well, again, that's why when you have a great offensive line, it makes a lot of that easier. You got an experienced quarterback. You're really good on the outside. You know, again, we talk about balance as making the right decision. If people want to lighten up the box or try and take away what Texas is doing outside, that's going to help out that young back who I know y'all are really excited about. I'm not worried about Texas and running back. Okay, I'm just not. It's like me worrying about LSU on the edge. There's some things that I just don't worry about.
One thing on Texas this makes me think of that based off his comment. I think this will be the season that we find out, is Steve Sarkisian a great head football coach or is he a great coordinator?
I think this
will be the season because he's gotten that culture right in the roster.
All right, one more before we wrap.
Go to Trav Die 347. What's up, Trav? Zero chance USC's defense could duplicate their turnover success from last year. While the D I think will be a little better, it won't be the obvious when you consider their ridiculous turnover output. I'm not saying you're going to match it. I think still have a good turnover output in the same. Like, I just don't think they're going to be worse. There's no way they're worse. They were god awful.
Well, if you still have a good turnover margin, but you don't get as many turnovers as they did last year, and you're a little bit better defensively tackling, and fundamentally you almost end up in the same place. Like you end up in a very similar spot. But I don't think the jump's going to be big enough at 6. Take away, you have USC's roster, take away the logo. They're at 15.
I think it's more of a Lincoln Riley thing. Again, a trust factor with him. I mean, this guy's winning 12 games.
Yeah, but I mean, he can't win. He can't win. I mean, what's Lincoln Riley won? You can't win it with Baker Mayfield in that group?
Well,
you can't win it with Kyler Murray in that group?
Well, that's why they're not at 2 or 1.
How many times are you going to let the Grinch steal Christmas?
Georgia's tough to beat.
I didn't say they'd win it all. I'm saying that
Georgia's
why the 6. That's the justification.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Well, look, a good USC is good for college football. I was going to say a good West Coast is good for college football, but hell, the geography doesn't even matter anymore. We're going to get back to the Booster Club. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get to rapid fire.
George Pickens made a Mount Rushmore of Georgia players through all times. Yeah. And I just wanted to pull this up because there's a few things here. Do you want to start?
Yeah, number 1, there's 4 people on Mount Rushmore.
There are, but there's not on this list. There's 5.
5.
Okay.
Somebody may want to tell them that or show them a picture. But again, we're not accusing George Pickens of being Oppenheimer. Okay, we're not saying that he can go get the ball. I do know that.
He can count to 4 though.
Yeah. Well, can he?
Never mind. I should not make statements. I should ask questions.
This makes him happy.
Yeah. 4. Yeah. Run forever and catch the ball. No Herschel Walker. No Champ Bailey. This list is trash.
Where is Herschel Walker?
Yeah, it's trash. This trash. Look, No Sean Marino is a hell of a player. He's not on the Mount Rushmore of Georgia.
No.
AJ Green's on there.
Matt's on there.
Thomas Davis. I think you got a good argument for Thomas Davis, but I would damn sure put Herschel Walker over Nick Chubb.
Yeah. I mean,
No Sean Moreno?
I mean, the only thing No Sean did was just hurdle somebody.
What did they win?
I mean, we're talking about Herschel Walker could possibly be the greatest running back in college football history.
And won a Natty and a Heisman.
There's no way he doesn't know that, right?
Like, dog, who?
I mean, I don't know. He put 5 people on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't know that.
I've been in these programs where the greatest athletes who ever came through there have their posters and pictures planted everywhere. That a replica of that Heisman is sitting there.
Could it
walk
be?
in every day.
Well, I'm giving George Pickens way too much credit. I'm like, could it be for social issues? You know, whatever, like Herschel ran and was in politics and stuff like that.
Oh, I forgot. That's right.
No, I don't think
that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, see, but I think I'm giving him way too much credit.
So you're saying he got canceled? Herschel got canceled.
No, he either got.
That's the breakout title. That's the breakout title right there.
He either got
George Pickens canceled.
It's one of two things. It's either canceled or totally forgotten.
Hold on, I'm going to get something. I've got something. Hold on.
Where are you stomping off to?
I'm uncanceling.
Climb up that beanstalk again?
You could stand up and fix,
I only did that one time.
Yeah.
Okay?
stand up and fix your knee pads.
Stop it. Uncanceled.
There it is.
Uncanceled,
There
baby.
it is. Mount Rushmore. One of the four. Come on, George.
Hey, man, keep balling, though. I'm going to probably pick you in fantasy.
Yeah, come on, Georgie.
No, I'm going to get you first. All right, next one up. There was a fight at LSU.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly said he wasn't too happy about it, but are we just making more of this than it really is?
Look, if you don't have at least 3 fights during fall camp, your team isn't
Okay,
ready.
I agree.
Now, you got to know how to fight, and you got to know who to fight, right? Young guys going at it, okay, I get it. Listen, there's a fight. Hey, let's find Harold Perkins. Let's get him away.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You could have a fight going on between, like, 2 walk-ons, and then, like, they're going to go find, like, hey, where's Jaden at? Let's make sure Jaden, we don't want any friendly fire. Listen, you don't want your team fighting every day, okay? But you want a little bit of that edge, and it's starting. You're just now putting the pads on.
Yeah,
this is when it happens. You don't want guys swinging helmets. You don't want guys punching helmets. You want baseball fights, right? You want you want a lot of wrestling. Hey, I'm gonna put my hands on you. You put your hands on me.
Hey, helmet all for grabbing jerseys.
Grabbing jerseys.
Grabbing and throwing.
G&Js. We're G&Js.
G&Js.
We're G&Js.
Good old G&J.
A good old, nothing like a good old-fashioned G&J.
Go ahead and get how to fight implemented to where we need to get so we can actually start fighting in real-life games.
Yeah. I'm so much more informed now.
Yeah.
G&Js. I love it.
All right.
Like a good G&J on a Tuesday.
NFL. Kareem Hunt is visiting with the Saints in the wake of Alvin Kamara being suspended for those first 3 games. You likey?
You talk different. You talk before.
Why you talk different?
You talk before.
Me?
Who's the 2-piece of the Saints? Like, who's a 1 and 2 at running back?
Right now, I need to look that up. But if they get Kareem Hunt, that Kareem Hunt Alvin Kamara combo, I'll take that with the.
So you got to think Alvin.
3 games.
Alvin 3 games. That's fine. But Alvin
get Kareem's little bowling ball ass in here.
Alvin 25 to 25.
Yeah.
All right. Kareem red zone. It could be a real Williams from the Lions.
Well, and they're different, right?
Yeah.
They're totally different backs. In Cleveland, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, there were some similarities there, right?
Yeah.
They were kind of the same back a little bit.
Runners.
Nick's a little more
They're
versatile.
bold, like Nick and Kareem, they're bold cups of coffee.
Yeah, they are.
Right? It'll keep you up for 6
that bold.
They signed Jamal Williams.
Damn it.
They signed Jamal Williams. That's right.
I did not. Look, I still like it.
Yeah, I know. He's just from a fantasy standpoint. I don't know who's going to score.
Probably Kareem Hunt. Well, no.
Like, he scored I
don't know. Maybe not Alvin Kamara again.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's great. That's a great running back room.
That is a great running back.
It's a solid 3-piece right there.
All right, last one here. The Orioles announcer apparently got
I can't believe you said this.
Got indefinitely suspended. Can you break this down?
Yes, I just want to caution everybody. This is very disturbing. And what he said was, we need to play. The people need to hear this. Kevin Brown's been suspended indefinitely from the Orioles for making again, I'm going to tell you these comments are R-rated.
Unacceptable.
So if you have children, cover their ears. Let's go ahead and play it.
For the Orioles, Brandon Hyde has felt like this has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day, but now 2 and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
How could he? How could
Unacceptable.
He? How could he?
What?
Indefinite
Y'all suspended him for saying like the record? What is he supposed to just? We talk about wave riding because I can't use a real term I want to use. Like what? How? This is why the Orioles. This is why the Orioles have been a trash organization. Y'all just invent distractions. Just invent distractions. Nobody's talking about right now. Let's pull up where the Orioles at in the standings right now.
I got it.
Like what? Nobody's talking about the great Orioles year they're having today.
They're leading the AL East.
Leading the AL East. If I'm the manager of the Orioles, I am 13 flavors of pissed about this. Why are you creating distractions? This is why you can't have nice things. This is so soft. What did he say? You're suspending him for this, so you're suspending him so you can't say if it's bad against your team. I watch the Braves announcers all the time. They'll tell you. I mean, Chip Carey used to get on the Braves, dude.
Yeah, like if you said this batter is hitting better than he did last season, that's the equivalent of that to me.
Are we to this point?
And plus, he's saying the Rays are still good. The Rays are still a good team. I'm saying great things about our organization, the Orioles, because now we're leading the division over a good Rays team.
Look, if you're getting suspended for this, nobody's safe. You are not. Nobody's
been safe. Look, you get in trouble in society the most when you just state blatant facts.
But like this is a different. It's one thing to be like, hey, the police arrest this race more than the other, and everyone's like, no. We're talking about baseball. The Rays have owned the Orioles, but he didn't even say owned. He's like, well, the Rays have really had a lot of success against the Orioles lately. I mean, the Orioles were 0 for their last 15 in the series against them.
Just gotta lie.
You suspend him for that?
Just lie.
Just lie.
Just lie.
Make stuff
Get up there and lie.
It's a real 1984 situation.
Just make stuff up.
Just lie. If they clap enough, they'll start to believe it.
Like North Korea?
Yeah. They clap enough, they'll start to believe it. Like, no, he's right. He did shoot 22 on an 18-hole course.
He can talk to dolphins.
Yeah, he can. He does communicate with whales.
That's hilarious. All right, do we want to get to the top 10 NFL rookies before we get back to the Booster Club? Because I can tell the Booster Club's
Let's do it. Top 10 NFL rookie breakout rookies for this season.
What?
We made a list.
What?
Making lists.
We made a list.
Checking it twice. All right, top 10 NFL breakout rookies. Let's start at number 10. Felix Enrique Uzoma from Kansas State.
K-State.
Now it's his changeup.
Yeah.
Hey, he's replacing Frank Clark now with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Starting at defensive end. These are impact players, people that we really think are going to have an impact. You look at outside George Karlaftis, the guy who really loved at Purdue, turned into a really good pro. I think what he's going to get a lot of, he's not going to get chipped a lot, especially early. He's going to have a chance to go one-on-one with a lot of tackles, kind of feel his way through it. I think this guy really has a chance to come in and make an impact. And you play on a team that's going to be playing in a lot of big games, especially down the stretch, so you have opportunities to make an impact, right? Like an asteroid that's on course.
I love it. Next one up, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
From TCU.
Yeah.
Another Big 12 guy with the Chargers now.
Well, you see, too, and again, I think he's got a little more wiggle than what people give him credit for. He's a big vertical ball, big jump ball guy, but with the injuries that Keenan Allen's had and Mike Williams has had, this gives another guy a chance to go in there. And let's say they're both healthy. You're looking at the third option. He's not getting doubled.
In an offense that's going to be electric.
That's exactly right. With a quarterback that now has a contract that's comfortable, that made it to that second one. I think he's a guy, too, in the red zone that when you get that safety that's shading over to help that corner with Mike Williams, or they're worried about Keenan Allen, who can line up in multiple spots, I think you may get a lot of one-on-one on the outside. We just talked about one-on-one with Uzoma there at defensive end. It's the same thing out wide at wide receiver. Don't be shocked if you get a lot of fade balls going to number one right there.
Extremely talented, especially, Justin Herbert coming along. Their receiver room.
Strong hands.
Nice. Good.
Nice.
Keenan's kind of going out the door. If Mike Williams can stay healthy with his back, which seems every year seems aggravated.
Eckler's back. All those problems are over now.
You have Palmer, who's extremely good. So, he can, because most of those top guys are going to get what? They're going to get the doubles, right? So, QJ, especially
can't double everybody.
Red zone, problem.
Yep, can't double everybody.
Big possession guy. That's the thing to me. You add a big possession guy with Justin Herbert throwing you the ball. It's kind of like what Travis Kelce has to the
what I
Chiefs,
like, too, is he can go up and get it, and he can go down and get it. And you don't see that from a lot of big guys.
Love it. Next one up. Man, this guy might have the best season out of all of them.
A-Chain?
Devon A-Chain.
Yeah.
The report out of camp. The report out of camp in Miami is that he's just electrifying.
Well, I remember watching him at Texas A&M. You know, everybody always talked about his speed, and he is a world class, has world class speed. But he wasn't a track guy that played football. He's a football guy that can run track.
Really
He's
fast,
strong through contact. He rolls his hips. He makes football movements, and he's not just a straight line guy. I think that's the difference. I think he's a guy you can throw the check down to. I think he's a guy you can throw the speed sweep to. And look at the speed that the Dolphins have on the field. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon A-Chain. It's basically an F1 race down there in Miami. Now, Tua's a.k.a. Mr. Potato Head. He just kind of not...
Doing jiu-jitsu, dude. He's good.
Blaine, you were talking about running back rooms. Listen to this one. You got Raheem Mostert still in Miami.
Yep, tall back.
Jeff Wilson Jr., who also came over, I think, from San Francisco, right?
Yep.
And now Devon A-Chain.
Man.
That's solid.
But again,
That's
A-Chain,
solid.
you can line him up in the slot, and he.
Well, like the kid, you can go with the Texas A&M days, man. You can touch him in a phone booth.
Yeah.
His jump step is disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
And not even that, he were special teams too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he returned punts. Like,
But imagine having him, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle out on the field at the same time.
sucks.
I mean,
How do you game plan?
yeah.
How do you game plan against that?
Yeah, it's like watching the Cars.
Keep a quarterback
Even in
healthy.
front of you.
Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah.
Family.
I was watching the first one last night.
There's a first one.
The Fast and the Furious. There
Yeah.
was one that started it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
And it
can't
didn't
even
have a
remember.
number by it.
Let's get these guys haven't got arrested yet, to be honest.
All right.
I've not been arrested yet.
Next one up. Let's go to the Philadelphia Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter.
Yep. Snap it. And a lot of this, too, isn't just that Jalen Carter is an absolute animal.
It's around him.
It's that he has
Everyone
so
else
much
is
talent
good.
around him that you get a chance to go in there and you get to learn from guys that have had a ton of success. I mean, you go down the list of the Eagles, defensive players in general, and this isn't just on the defensive line. I mean, look at Nakobe Dean.
No,
Look at
their three levels is this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
I mean,
they're
it's-
so deep. And don't forget about the mountain Jordan Davis.
You got Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Nakobe Dean. Bro, they just put Jordan's
get
defense
Jordan
out.
Davis.
Great decision.
Yeah.
Next one up, then, another explosive offense with the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs, coming out of Alabama, who transferred from Georgia Tech for that last season. Now looks like he may be running back one in front of David Montgomery, who also came in. We just talked about Jamal Williams took off for the Saints. How do you think that running back room is going to shake out?
Well, I think Jahmyr Gibbs may end up, as crazy as it sounds, taking as many snaps at wide receiver as he does at running back.
When you say wide receiver, you mean in the slot?
Slot. I think motioning him out, doing things like that. I think the reason they drafted him is not just to turn around and hand him the ball. I think in this system, with what they
three down back.
with what they want to do, I think you're going to see a lot of empty out of the lines. They're going to get in 10, even 11 personnel. Right? Hell, you can get an empty out of 12 personnel. I think you're going to see a lot of empty. They're going to let the gumball smuggler, Jared Goff, do his thing. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is one of those guys that you're going to get a lot of rubs to. You're going to get a lot of speed sweeps. You're going to get a lot of gadgets and then decoys off of it, especially when Jamison Williams comes back. You think about those two out in the field together. I think it's going to be a very interesting time in Detroit.
If there's reports coming in that he's going to be the starting running back for them, David Montgomery's an extremely good back.
Very good back.
Extremely. He's a three-down back as well.
I have a hard time believing Jahmyr's going to be the starter.
I don't think
he's a
Alabama's
receiver.
offensive line did Jahmyr Gibbs justice last year. It's as good as a player that he is. This kid has I'm out the door type of speed.
Yeah.
Like I am like on that Jamo Williams type of speed. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. I won't be surprised if we saw him some special teams game. But if he's right now, if there's reports coming out that he's a starting back for them, he must be balling. Because David Montgomery was balling.
And he came over from the Bears, right?
Yeah.
I mean, both of those
They
guys
didn't
are
have an
three down
offensive
backs, and the
line.
Lions ran the ball well last year.
Yeah.
They had the whole offense.
Pretty
working.
balanced. I mean,
So
Amon-Ra St. Brown out there, too.
We'll see how that one plays out. All right, next one up, Zay Flowers with the Ravens. You've been big on Zay Flowers,
this
right?
kid's a problem, dude. Like even at Boston College, like he was just, you could see every Saturday he was the best player on the field most of the time. You got to think, what have the Ravens added, right? You sign Lamar Jackson, which is big. You bring Odell Beckham, right?
Mark Andrews
bring
back.
Mark Andrews. You have Zay Jones. Now you have layers of talent on your offense, not just certain guys that get keyed on the whole time. I think Zay Jones will be just involved in this offense almost as Mark Andrews is.
Yeah, Zay Flowers. I know.
Zay Flowers.
Here's what I like about Zay Flowers. He's quick. He's definitely athletic enough to play in the NFL. Obviously, he's got really good speed. What I like about Zay Flowers is his IQ. He's a guy I think that can run an option route as a rookie and be able to find space. He understands how to sit in zones. He understands how to work over the top, how to work underneath. I think his IQ level as a route runner is very, very high, and he's got huge ass hands.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing in the backfield.
He can do a bunch. I like his versatility. You see a lot with these guys up here, right? Going down the list, you look at what A-Chain's able to do. You look at what Jahmyr Gibbs is able to do. You look at what Zay Flowers is able to do. What do I say is the best utility? Versatility. Second to fertility.
That's a very, very important one. Next one up, the number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young out of Alabama. Usually quarterbacks, it's harder to make the top 10 list for breakouts because it's easier to have an impact as a rookie at the wide receiver, running back positions. But you think Bryce Young's going to really break out this year?
think he's next level enough. Now, I know the Panthers don't have the most weapons around him, but I like the division that they're in. I think he's going to have a chance to make some noise in that. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks that were taken, first overall pick, probably should have the biggest impact. But typically, if you're the first overall pick, you're going to a team that's still probably not ready to win yet. Even though I do like what they've done, bringing in Justin Houston on defense. I think there is some weapons around him that he can use. But Bryce is such a next-level anticipatory thrower. That's the difference in the NFL. Now, you got guys, and to quote Brian Daboll, you got guys that have door accuracy, and you got guys that got window accuracy. I think Bryce Young has window accuracy. But his ability to anticipate and his IQ, not talking about Zay Flowers, but the quarterback position, I think Bryce Young, that's why I'm so interested to see this preseason game, not just to see how accurate he's going to be with the ball. I can guarantee he's probably going to be pretty accurate. But I want to see if that anticipatory game that I saw in college is able to translate early into his NFL career. I think Bryce Young is going to be absolutely outstanding.
You think so too?
Yeah, I think the Panthers have an extremely sneaky offense. I mean, if you really look at it, Bryce at quarterback, Miles Sanders comes over from the Eagles at running back, Adam Thielen from the Vikings, DJ Chalk Jr. from the Jags, Terrence Marshall Jr., who's only getting better from LSU, and your tight end's Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
Right, so you have subtle good weapons on this offense. And experience. And another good thing for Bryce, who's his backup, Andy Dalton.
Yep.
There you go. All right, number 3, Bryce's college teammate Will Anderson Jr. with the Texans. What a great pickup.
Yeah, I think he was the best leader that was taken in the draft. I think this was a great move. I think this has D'Amico Ryan's fingerprints all over it, the head coach there. I think they brought C.J. Stroud in to be obviously the quarterback, but he's not super vocal. I think that's something he's going to have to learn. I think Will Anderson Jr., and we were talking to a scout, obviously at SEC Media Days, that said that this pick wasn't just about Will Anderson's ability to rush the passer or stop the run. It's about being a leader. I think he's going to be the vocal leader of this team. When you look at the Texans, they do have a long way to go. But you do bring in CJ on one side, you bring in Will on the other. Will's versatility, we talk about the versatility of Zay Flowers and Jahmyr Gibbs and Devin A-Chain. Well, versatility matters on defense too. Will Anderson, I think, defensively was the player that could do the most, the best. Right? If I'm hiring somebody, I want to hire somebody that can do the most things the best. He can rush the passer. He can drop in coverage. He can box and spill the run if he has to. He can wrong arm guards, spill it as we call it. And his IQ is out of this world. And you don't got to worry about him off the field. Big Will Anderson Jr. guy. I think that translates to on the field.
Number 2, Jackson Smith and Jigba with the Seahawks. Man, they've drafted so well.
Yeah, and look, you look at the weapons that we talked about this with Quentin Johnston, but something about Smith and Jigba is his acceleration, his side to side, his lateral movement, and his ability to catch the ball away from his body at such a great rate. Geno Smith seems to have figured it out. You add him to an offense that has DK Metcalf. You look at what they have in the backfield with Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett's coming back, who's this, consistent as it gets out there. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba has a big year. I think he has a real big year.
Same.
Seahawks are such an interesting team, especially what Geno did last year. I think Geno's going to have another good year. I don't think it's going to be as good, but their receiver core is deep. Jackson's a special player. I just worry about the Seahawks up front on the offense. I always worry about them because I got the Geno a lot last year. So, from a depth standpoint, they're extremely good. He can do it all, from the short to the medium to the long route. So we'll see how it goes. But this next guy you're about to bring up, I'm telling you.
Number 1, Bijan Robinson out of Texas.
There's a reason you take a running back, and calling him a running back's disrespectful. He's just a football player. That's what he is. You can probably put him on defense. You can probably put him at safety, and he make plays. I think there are very few times when you draft a running back at that spot. I think this guy is generational enough to do it. I think he's an incredible player. Now, I think Desmond Ridder is overrated. I don't think Desmond Ridder is going to end up being the guy in Atlanta, but He is a guy that you can build an offense around at the running back position. You can flex him out wide. You're going to see them do everything. You're going to see Arthur Smith use him in as many ways possible. I can't say enough about the guy. I love his attitude, and he's physical. That's the thing. He's not some pretty boy.
Well, he can do it all.
Kitty boy, the city boy out here. He's trying to run guys over, too.
He's a 3-down back. He can do the wow plays. He can make the normal plays turn into wow plays. The only thing I worry about for him is one Desmond Ridder and that Atlanta offensive line.
Yeah.
It's not a great situation, but I'm sure you have a couple years to figure it out. He's going to be a special player in the NFL. I'm telling you, right now, if I had to pick 3 guys on that list, I'd pick Bijan, Bryce Young, and Will Anderson.
Yeah.
And Zay Flowers, close.
I like that. A couple honorable mentions here. Jalen Hyatt with the Giants.
I got to see it. I see him as a route runner.
Yeah, we got to see route runner, but showing, incredible speed already, like
he's
breaking NFL
he gets
records.
Going.
You know?
He gets going.
Jordan Addison with the Vikings, I think is going to break out too. And then you were talking about Seattle offensive weapons. They draft Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA for that 1-2 punch with Kenneth Walker. I love the strategy. I love the strategy.
No, I do too.
Draft them up early.
I want all players to be good.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's going to be a great NFL season.
Kenneth Walker, dude. Kenneth Walker's nasty.
It's really good.
All right, let's get to the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Heartbroken Hog, $2 donations. Get some donations here. A&M starts 3-6. Fire Jimbo.
Wow.
They go 4-0. Petrino promoted.
Wow. That's 3-6. Woo.
It's a bold statement, Cotton. Cole Freak, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Cole. What was each of your favorite moment from your college coaching or playing time?
My favorite moment, say like from a winning moment, was when we clinched to go to the bowl game. We're the fastest team to ever go to Division I at South Alabama. We're the fastest team to get to D1 to have to play D1 teams, and we went to a bowl game. Fastest team ever to go to a bowl game. Clinching that one against App State was huge. But probably my favorite moment was when we kicked, because I was a special teams guy. We kicked a 52-yard field goal at the end of regulation to tie San Diego State at Qualcomm and then beat them in double overtime. Gerald Everett, who's in the NFL right now playing tight end, you've seen him with the Rams and the Chargers, was our tight end. He went for like 240 yards. They couldn't stop him.
Mine would have been, I don't know, let's say beating Florida in the Citrus Bowl. Tim Tebow's Heisman year. Oh, wow. That was Coach Carr's last game, actually.
Wow.
All right, let's go to Charles Dossett, $5 donation. He says, I woke up at 4 a.m., gave a dono, and of course Blaine misses it. Charles, I didn't miss your dono. Stop capping. Like the refs throwing flags against Army, Blaine hates America. Charles!
Why do you hate America?
I will not go to Rainbow Land, Charles.
A lot of people are asking that question.
I love America. I hit the gas pedal down and scream America every morning on my way to work.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you love America? Let's be honest. Let's go to Leo Maltez, $2 donation. He says, I'm going all in to get Bijan on the fantasy squad. Hey.
Easy. 2 years from now, easy early. Easy early.
Not trying to be Chris Hansen. Why don't you come take a seat?
Yeah, come take a seat.
All right.
You didn't do anything wrong, but you're about to.
Yeah, let's go to Blaine's bucket step. I do have a great bucket step. $2 donation. He says, Jake's reaction to yesterday's poll was hilarious.
Yeah, it's the disrespect. That's why I'm going over there at Power Slide to get ready mentally, physically, and emotionally to come back.
All right, let's go to Patrick Rye, $5 donation. I'd like to see a breakout list of rookies not taken in the first round from you guys.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a good list.
All right, let's go to Joe C. What's up, Joe? Says, Bijan is such a freak running back. How come he wasn't able to put up bigger numbers against the Big 12 defenses?
Because I think a lot of it had to do with splitting carries a little bit, but you had a young quarterback that went up and down. And teams tried to when you're playing Texas, what are you trying to take away? Bijan Robinson. Mm-hmm. All right. And again, he's still balled out. So imagine if he was on a team where it was somewhat even, right? Where
he went to Georgia.
Yeah.
That also wasn't their identity.
Yeah.
You know, imagine going to Georgia or to Michigan where they do want to run the ball first.
I do want to get the bets real quick. Who cares until football season?
I care.
Blaine, you're up 10.5 units. You're up 8 units right now, but nobody cares. I'm going to take the Rangers and Brewers money line together. That's a parlay at plus 102. Then the Mariners, Logan Gilbert, catfish face, minus 1.5. That's at plus 135. We'll see. Who cares? I'm ready for football season.
Blaine already won.
Well, won nothing.
You win the month?
No, I didn't. You did, to be honest.
I'll take Max Scherzer gets the first K tonight.
First at bat, K?
The first strikeout.
Oh,
no, he'll strike out a batter before the other pitcher, even though the A's are the home team. So Max will throw second. So that's why that bet is plus 230. And then the Red Sox money line minus 195.
All right, who cares? Give me Tampa Bay -1.5. Definitely won't hit. That's going off at +112. And give me the A's, Rangers, Nerfy, -128. Can't wait for the Rangers to score 2 in the first.
You're already 2-0.
Ace Cone. He's going to take the Brewers and Phillies
2-0.
money line. That's at -111. That looks weird. And he's going to take the Yankees money line. Who are the Yankees favored to beat by with -165 odds? Who are they playing?
They're playing the
Cucumbas?
No, they're playing. Hold on, I'm on it.
Yeah. We'll see. All right. Any more donuts to get to? We good?
No, that's it. Let's get to the poll.
Poll.
What is who's the most overrated in the coaches poll? Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State.
They're playing the White Sox, by the way.
White Sox. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say Alabama.
What's the question?
Who is the most overrated in the coaches poll? Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State.
No, I'm gonna say the Booster Club though. The Booster Club said Ohio State, 39%.
I'll say they said Alabama. It was a 4-way poll?
It's a 4-way poll.
I'll say Alabama 40%.
Georgia, 7%.
Yeah.
Michigan, 28%.
That's too high. Let's get those numbers down.
Ohio State, 29%. Alabama, 36%.
Trust yourself, Jake.
There we go. Yeah.
Trust yourself.
That's how we win one
I
right
trust
there.
you
Before we
guys.
go to
Good job by the
Vegas,
Booster
I
Club
like
today.
winning.
Yeah, great
before
job
we
by
go
the
to
Booster
Vegas
Club
and
today.
getting the blackjack
Yes,
table.
great job. Let us know. Make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button. Grab a friend. You can tell everybody. And hey, we're back live on Friday. We got great content for you. Tomorrow we got Coach Jeff Collins. Was the DC at Florida, Mississippi State. Was a head coach at Temple and Georgia Tech. You're going to love that conversation. And we play a game of which is more likely, college football edition. And we got a little bit more for you as well. We appreciate you guys. You're the best audience in the business. Let's get ready to kick this bad boy off. And like the chances of me getting excited about betting until August 26th, we're gone.